I just want to keep the board up to date with kind of what we did and what we're doing. If you remember back in the budget work sessions, there were some strategies that we were using to try to help with some of our deficits. Putting a lot of salaries into ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 to cover some of those salaries to kind of get us through these years. And then there's some things that we decided we were going to do when we first started during COVID, like a bunch of PPE items and things that we were going to purchase that we really never did because we kind of got past that. So the amendment to the ESSER grants is basically us coming together, looking at our funds and then making some transfers of funds. And I will share with the board that during the budget workshops, we decided to go out really with the retention incentives for our employees this year. And so we did 2 of them. We did one in December. We're going to do another. And that was not really in the plan at the beginning. So that's about another $6 million we had to move into salaries. And so she's going to go through these and kind of just talk about like some of the changes and give you high level. And then we'll answer questions at the end. So I'm going to turn over to her.
Thank you. So just as a refresher, for ESSER 2, our allocation was $14,664,502. For ESSER 3, we received $32,934,000, $934,389,000. So as Brandon mentioned, we're just going to look at the areas where we are moving money, starting with ESSER 2. The first area we were looking at moving money is in the virtual learning. Since we're no longer doing virtual learning, we didn't need the original amount, but then we took some money out and then realized we needed a little more to cover it all. So we're looking to put $8,961 back into that account so that we can cover what we owe the staff for the virtual learning. At the bottom, for summer programs for accelerated instruction, we had budgeted $775,995. We actually spent just shy of that. So we're looking to remove the remaining $2,773 into our operational continuity account, leaving a balance or a budget of $773,221. This is the operational continuity account that we're looking to move the funds into. This is also where we pay for a lot of our employees for payroll. So we want to add $495,402, and those are coming from the accounts that either the funds were not used or we did not need as much in the account as what we had anticipated, bringing that total to $10,459,170. The next area where we're looking at making some moves, we're under targeted interventions. Our flexible furniture for social distancing, we wound up not needing as much as we had anticipated. So we want to leave $627,720 in that account after removing $372,280. And then farther down on that page, for special programs for students with autism, we have used some of those funds, but not as much, again, as we were initially anticipating that we needed. So we want to remove $129,310 and leave only the $170,690 that we need to continue throughout the remainder of this year. Because remember, ESSER 2 does end this year.
And what we're saying, some of this stuff we use with other budgets and some of it's going to be with ESSER 3. And so we're trying to move money around to finish off ESSER 2 this year.
Correct. And then the last one, well-rounded education, we don't want to touch. That money's still there. For ESSER 3, our proposed amendments for here come in learning loss. We found that we needed a little more money to cover these additional support personnel. So we're asking to move an additional $63,155 into that account. And their tutoring services, because they are 2 other pots of money that they use first, which is the state compensatory education and the Title I funds, they're really not using this bucket of money. So what we want to do is leave only the $8,074 that's been spent to date and remove the additional $91,926. In learning loss for middle schools, again, we find that we needed additional funds for the support personnel. So we want to add $158,680, bringing that total to $1,943,680. They too had tutoring money, but because there are additional funds that cover tutoring, They really don't need that $25,000. They haven't touched any of it, so we'd like to move that money out. And then for high school, again, we are asking for more funds to be added to pay the additional support personnel in the amount of $25,000, bringing their total to $1,975,000. They also had additional day tutoring type money. They have not used any of it. And again, they do have other buckets for tutoring, so that's probably why this was not used. They're required to use the other funds first, state comp money and the Title I money. So we would like to remove their $30,000. In their extended core content subject opportunity, just buying other additional core content instructional supply type things. They've really only used $34,697. And again, they still have quite a bit of money in state comp and Title I funds that they're really not using these funds. So we're asking to move that out. For learning loss district wide, we are leaving what we put in there. Operations for continuity for the technology devices and software and internet that we purchased, we originally budgeted $4,173,405. But after talking to the director of technology and paying what we did, we really don't need that entire sum in there. And so based on what he spent and what he projects, we want to remove $1,712,393, leaving him with $2,461,012 of the original budget to purchase the other devices and items that he's going to need. Under the operational costs for payrolls, this is where we have salaries. This is also where the retention stipends come from, because we are moving money or asking to move money out of the other accounts. This is where we want to place the remaining funds. So we're asking to put $3,606,699 in that account, bringing the total to $15,564,777. And for our airflow systems, the HVACs, we projected $2 million, but have not used, but maybe a quarter of that. And so we're asking to move $1,447,270 out, leaving the, excuse me, $552,730 that has already been spent. CDC mitigations and strategies. This is what Brandon mentioned. We have bought some PPE. We did need to add a little more. We had originally taken some money out, but then we needed to add, we feel like we need to add some back for some things that needed to be purchased, bringing that total to $808,108. For additional health services personnel, we've not utilized as much as we thought we would need for salaries. So we are asking to take out $224,750. Bringing that total down to $150,250. Social emotional supports at the very bottom, you will see that there are grade camps that we had budgeted for. Nothing has been done. No grade camps have been taking place, nor have there been any presentations. So we're asking to move that $150,000 out, zeroing out that account, and again, moving it to operational continuity. The same thing is for the dyslexia intervention. We did not utilize any of the $585,000 that was originally budgeted for that account. So we'd like to zero that out. And then for the safe outdoor learning spaces, this is the elementary playgrounds and the canopies. We actually found that we needed a little more money. So we want to add $88,887, bringing that total to $1,088,887. Well-rounded education would stay the same, as will leadership. And just so you guys would know kind of where we are for balances, in ESSER 2, we had $315,942. $3 million. And then for ESSER 3, just a little over 13 million.
And so the theme of the allocations, putting in the retention incentive this year was cost about $6 million that wasn't anticipated, that you see. So there's 4 buckets that a lot of these monies are moving to. One of the buckets is to finish off and pay out the teachers that we have, the extra positions on our campuses. We moved to help the budget. We moved a lot of the central office staff into ESSER 3. So we needed to move monies into these accounts to cover the salaries for this year for the people that I moved to help the budget this last year. And then covering the retention and stipend. So a lot of the monies that we have that are moving into those 4 buckets, each one of those buckets really deal with staff. And at the end of this year, all of ESSER will be gone, and more than likely, we'll probably only have 3 or 4 million left in ESSER 3. Just enough to kind of finish out the rest of those projects. So I'm saying this because as we get into staffing and we get into this year, the extra positions that we've allocated to every campus with ESSER funds, those will no longer be supported by ESSER funds. So we're gonna have to make some decisions on how we move forward. We've been using the funds to kind of the practices to cover some of our deficits, but also to help build up fund balance so that if we have to keep some of the staff, that over time, hopefully our enrollment keeps growing and our ADA gets better, that we can cover some of this extra staff. If it doesn't happen, and we don't grow and ADA doesn't get back to where we were, then we're gonna have to talk about those positions that were extra, probably through attrition, figure out how to get back to the normal formula that we used.
What's the ADA right now?
We're around 91%.
What do we need to be at?
We need to be around 94 or 95%. So yes, so like if you remember last year, we fell in like a $6.7 million deficit because of the ADA. Right now, we're tracking probably around 3 or 4 being as far as not reaching what we actually budgeted for just in ADA.
So we're gonna be in the red 3 or 4 next year
Well,
if,
if the ADA doesn't bounce back,
right,
but we're using the ESSER funds to kind of counter that right now.
So the 3 million, you're gonna get it from the ESSER funds to cover down. on-
Correct.
for next year.
For next year.
Well, to get through this year, next year, we're back to like where our budget is, and we don't have extra funds to bail us out anymore. We're gonna have we have 3 million to finish those other projects that we still allocated funds in. And after that, I mean, we'll have to make decisions, but we probably won't have funds to fund any staff anymore next year.
But you're anticipating that potentially the deficit is 3 to 4 million next year.
No, for this year, right now, when I'm looking at ADA and what I projected for ADA,
Okay,
at like at 13.4, right?
Sure.
That's the number we used. And that's about 93-94% of our attendance. Well, we're tracking about 91, so I'm tracking right about 12,000
I see.
as far as ADA. So I'm about 400 short. But we're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with sickness. It's just we're bouncing back. It's a lot better than it was last year. We'll just have to continue to get better.
Do we think, or do we feel like the state might give us a
I
break?
think the state's still looking at you have extra funds and just like they've been doing to us.
Use them.
And that's what they were talking about earlier today about the cliff.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, the cliff is what everybody's been anticipating. That's why we've been strategic on trying to use our funds to cover these things and put some money in fund balance. Because our fund balance is about 85 million. And so it's a lot, we've grown it.
Mhm.
This year, we'll probably add some into it as well, working through using ESSER funds to kind of mitigate our deficits. And then next year, we'll have to just be strategic.
And you anticipate just maybe 1 or 2 years of
I see our enrollment.
wiggle room, and then we should be okay.
Correct. I see our enrollment continue to growing. It's trending in the right direction, and we'll just have to continue to work on our ADA because our ADA is really going to be the telltale sign.
And one of the things that we've also talked about in senior staff is getting back the students that have left us
Mhm.
and coming and doing very strategic things.
Mhm.
We've also looked, just today, we talked about making sure that we boost enrollment at Castem
Right.
because it's a small campus right now. So we're strategizing actually next Tuesday. Our senior staff meeting is really devoted at looking at how we can do those things differently. And we know that across the state, everybody's being hit hard with attendance.
Mhm.
But we've also I've talked to Adrian about some of the things that I would like to see done differently to go back and bring those kids back in.
Any idea what the number is for ESSER funded positions?
Right now, I would say, I know at central office, we took every coordinator, specialist, director, ED, so we have about 5 million just in central office staff in ESSER right now, and then we probably have an additional 32 teachers possibly that are being funded at ESSER as well. Combination between ESSER 2 and ESSER 3. So for sure, all the officer positions that are central office are coming back to local budget. And then those positions, and that's where we'll get into our workshop. We'll talk about those positions that are on campus. Because some campuses have grown big and large enough with enrollment that they can, through just their enrollment, they're gonna need extra staff so it'll be a lot. And there's some campuses that are not growing that we gave these extra positions to. That may even be losing positions with their normal formula, but also these ESSERs. And we'll just have to be strategic on, do we do it this year or let them keep them and take the deficit? But we also talk compensation and those other big topics that we need to do and put it all on the table and have that discussion.
Have you heard anything about them switching I know there's a lot of bills on the floor, I think one was House Bill 31,
On enrollment,
enrollment.
yeah.
You think that would help in the run of running?
There's
The
different
deficit.
models that say enrollment-based funding would. Everything that I do as far as budget is all based on enrollment. Every formula I use is on their enrollment. I don't know, I don't take the only thing I don't use enrollment for is our revenue. Revenue is 88, but staffing, budgets across the district, anything that we do, comp ed, we're looking at enrollment and the students that are towards those different allotments. So enrollment is getting a lot of traction. I've been in workshops where they say, yes, it sounds great, but it's really costly to the state. And their agenda is about lowering property taxes and other issues. I don't know if it will come to the floor as an official bill or not.
Well, I do know that vouchers are big right now and they're predicted to pass this year because of all of the seats and how they're distributed. So, they know that there will be losses to schools and detrimental to the funding as well.
That would also put a damper in our revenue. Absolutely.
But what I do feel comfortable is that even with these changes, no one would be losing their employment. Because we've had open positions the entire time, we're going to have open positions. So it's just switching the funding that they would be paid for. So I want staff to feel very confident that we're not talking about anybody losing their job. 'Cause that's
Absolutely.
important. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit.
No, yeah,
about
that's
that.
that's a good point. So everything we do, we always do through attrition. And right now, like I said, we have some campuses that are growing that need extra staff that we can move and work it out. And then we do attrition, we have some turnover. So we usually have 60 to 70 positions we have to hire every year. And so we'll have a great strategy to figure out, make sure we do it the right way. Any more questions for me and Loretta?
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Loretta. It was Loretta, she did all the hard work on this.
Okay, at this time, do we have any public comments? Anyone out there? Hearing none. This meeting is adjourned. Okay, we'll call this meeting, the Texas Academic Performance Report, Annual Report, public hearing at 5:35.
All right. Good evening, Mr. President, esteemed board members, Dr. Ball, and members of the Southwest ISD community. Today, we're not going to be talking about our district annual report. This report is required that we bring to the board and to our community once we receive our taper report. There are actually 8 pieces to this district annual report that we'll be talking about today. The first one is about the taper, which stands for Texas Academic Performance Report. And there is a taper for the district and each campus. Then the next piece will be about our PEMS Financial Standard Report. Then we'll talk about our district accreditation status, our campus performance objectives, our report on violent or criminal incidents, our student performance in post-secondary institutions, and our progress towards the board adopted HB3 goals. So we'll start with the taper. Again, this is compiled by TEA for the district and campus. It utilizes our PEMS data and our student assessment data. And it is published as a PDF. It's also available online. And it has a lot of different pieces of information in it about our students and our staff, broken down by different ethnic groups and social and economic status, our different programs, and our different student demographics. So if you look at the taper, you have a cover page. And on the cover page will be the 2022 accountability rating. And it is, again, depending on if you're looking at the district or the campus, that'll be the rating for that entity. And then on the district only taper, we do have our special education determination status and our armed services vocational aptitude battery test that only shows up if we don't offer ASVAB, and of course we offer that ASVAB at all 3 of our high schools. And then any distinction designations that have been issued by the state for either the campus or the district. As you move into the taper, the next piece of the taper is our star performance. It has all 3 performance ratings broken out. The approaches are above, these are above a master's level. It is broken out by each assessment, by all grades and all subjects, and then all grades by specific subject. The next part of the taper talks about our academic growth. It's reported only for 22 and 2019 because of COVID. We were not able to have that calculated for 2020 or 2021. So that's why when you look at the taper, you have 2022 and 2019. So we like to stop and just kind of do a little highlight. We've presented this information before, but we just like to pick a piece of data to kind of highlight. So we wanted to highlight our math scores from last year compared to the other districts around us that are comparable. You can see where we are with 3rd grade, with 4th grade, with 5th grade now, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So you can see we're in that top step here with all those different grade levels, top 5. And with our reading, you can see where our reading landed for 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So again, in that top 5. Going back to the taper, the next part that you see when you're looking at the taper is our bilingual education, English as a second language information. So it's disaggregated by the various programs that are offered for those students who are identified as bilinguals. And again, that is reported for 22 and 2021. And then our star participation for 2022 and 2021. Moving on, the next part of the taper talks about our attendance, graduation, and dropout rates. This data does run behind. So this is for school year 2020, 2021, and 2019, 2020. Those are the most recent dates that TA provides us. And that gives our attendance rate, our annual dropout rate, our 4, 5, and 6 extended longitudinal graduation rates, and our graduation plan rates. And then we have for our most recent group of graduates, because again, this data runs a year behind, we have our graduation profile for our 2021. The next part of the taper talks about our college, career, and military readiness. So we have our information on our CCMR graduates, our college-ready graduates, and our career military-ready graduates, all of our different CCMR-related indicators, and other post-secondary indicators that they look at for CCMR. And again, this data does run behind. So the most recent measures are for 2021 and 2020. So that's why this data often runs behind. The next part is our student information. So you have all of our different student information on our enrollment broken out by different groups and categories. And then our staff information also broken out by different groups and categories. And then finally, our program information where we have our student enrollment by program and the teachers by program. And that is the overall information on the taper. So the next part of our public hearing is about our team's financial standards report. So I'll have Mr. Crisp address that.
Yeah, so if you visit the website and you look at our PEAMS financial standard reports, you're gonna have 2 sections. The difference, there's a reason why ours runs actually 2 years behind compared to the tape report, which is 21-22. Many districts have different budget years. So like ours runs through September 1 to August, and others are from July to June. So it takes them longer to get this data. But what it will show you for the year 2021, if you go online into TA to the taper report, it'll give you our tax rate for 2021. It'll get our fund balances, all our expenditures, all our revenues. So the public can see exactly what we're spending our funds on. And it's all broken down by programs, population, types of programs that deal with different populations. It'll also give you each campus budget. So you can actually go if you want to see your campus, McNair Middle School or Scobey Middle School, you can pull all this same data by each campus. And so when you visit it, I just would make the public aware that this is our actual 2020 2021 data. And so, next year will be 21-22. So that's all we have on budget.
I don't want to interrupt, but I want to go back to what Ms. Bolte was sharing and last week, I was very impressed with a presentation that I went to that Dalila was hosting with Lead Forward. And some of the things that you heard right now on the accountability, they're changing for next year. But the team is already on it. They're already working on it. And if the board would like to hear some of that information for the future, I know that Dalila's team would be happy to share that maybe in a brown bag or something. Because the principals are being made aware of that already. Her team is doing an excellent job already in preparing what those changes are. I don't know if you want to share one quickly or not, like we were talking about the CCMR and.
Right, so with CCMR, the percentages are changing, where we're not gonna be able to account for the entire graduates. The class graduates are only allowing us to count for CT completers only for 20% of the total graduates. So that's one change. For TELPAS, right now it's even most important. They're moving the criteria of passing. And so right now it's up to 40%, where they have to, 40% of the students have to have a proficiency level moving up. So we're calling them the hoppers. And we're definitely focusing on growth, adding value to every single student. And we're calling it Interstate 85. We drive 85. So that's gonna be our campaign, that we wanna make sure that every single teacher is adding growth to the students, every single student is growing. And so our goal is 85% growth. So it definitely depends on growth, adding value to all of our students.
But really proud of the team, what I've seen and how they're using Lead Forward. I've always believed in Lead Forward. I think that's excellent and they're already working on that. So thank you. So I know that everybody wants to see a lot of growth in this and I'm really proud to see that the team is working on that already.
Any questions, board? If not, at this time, anyone in the public have any questions?
We're not finished, sir. The next section where is about our district accreditation status. So each year TA assigns an accreditation status. There are 4 possible accreditation statuses: accredited, accredited warrant, accredited probation, or not accredited. And PA looks at our academic accountability, our financial accountability, our data integrity, and then any program area deficiencies that have been identified. And because of COVID and the unique challenges that were faced, they are not assigning an accreditation status for 21-22. The next section is about our campus performance objectives. That's the campus improvement plan. So each campus has developed a campus improvement plan that has performance objectives, which were brought to the board for approval in the fall. They're based on our data analysis and needs assessment, and the campuses periodically measure their progress toward their goals, and updated CIPs are posted on the district website. Next section is our report on violent or criminal instances. So I'm going to have Dr. Ramirez come up and go to that.
Good evening, Board President Vasquez, board members, Dr. Ball, senior leaders. So as part of the annual report, we do report on the number and the rate and also the type of violent or criminal incidents that took place during that particular school year. And so we do have 2 incidents that took place on one of our middle schools, and we have 1 incident that took place at one of our elementary schools. And so information regarding these rates, these numbers can be found at our district central office and of course at each campus. They'll have this information. Are there any questions of the number, rate, or right? Okay. And so as part of this report, we also our district had also took several actions prior to the start of the 2022-2023 school year that were required by TEA. These actions actually address violence prevention and intervention, and for the purpose of ensuring student safety. And these actions actually include conducting a summer targeted partial safety audit. They included conducting an exterior door safety audit also. And in addition, we did convene the District Safety and Security Committee, meeting to review our district's emergency operation plan. And that also included a look at and a review of our district's active threat plan as well. That's a part of that emergency operations plan. The actions also include ensuring that all campus staff, including substitutes, were trained in their specific district and campus safety procedures, and that all mandatory drills for the year were scheduled prior to the start of the school year. In addition, we ensured that all threat assessment team members were trained and that we reviewed as necessary and updated access control procedures. So also this information or additional information, just additional descriptions of these policies and procedures related to school violence prevention intervention are also available in our district intervention plan and in our campus improvement plans as well that are posted on our district website. Are there any questions? Thank you.
So the next section that we're going to talk about is our student performance in post-secondary institutions. So of course, this data is going to run a year behind because we're tracking where our students went after they graduated. Did they go straight from our buildings to a Texas college, either 4-year, 2-year, or public institution? And so that is published. This is gathered by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And again, this is for the class of 2020. And they're looking at their grade points and their college level semester credit hours for fall of 2020, spring of 2021, and summer of 2021. And of course, we know we had COVID in there. But this is our data for each of our 2 high schools that have the graduation rate for that class. So you can see how many went to a Texas 4-year, 2-year, or independent college or university straight from our doors. And then we have not trackable. That means they have an ID code that we're not able to track across the systems. And then we have not found. Remember, not found does not mean they didn't go to college. That means they didn't go to college in Texas. So they could have gone out of state, or they could have gone straight into the workforce. The next section is our progress toward our HD3 goals in TEC section 39.306 requires us to include this now in our annual report. So we have HD3 goals around our early childhood literacy and our math proficiency plans and a CCMR plan, and progress made by the district and the campuses was reported out to the school board at our October 4th, 2023 school board meeting. And finally, there is a glossary because there's lots of terms in the paper. So there's a glossary that's available in both English and Spanish that explains a lot of the different terms you'll find in that report. And the district paper will be posted on our website within 2 weeks of this meeting. And of course, paper copies are always available at the district central office and on each campus. And if you have additional questions, please feel free to call me, Lisa Volpe, at my extension or email. Are there any questions about the public hearing?
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Public, any
Any
questions?
questions from the public?
Hearing none. Meeting is adjourned 5:51. We will begin our regular meeting at 6 o'clock, about 9 minutes. Dr. Ball.
We have the region's gonna lead them for us today.
Can please stand. Lord, we are meeting today regarding matters of Southwest ISD. Be with us in our discussions, as it is our privilege and our responsibility to support, foster, and advance the students of Southwest ISD. Give us insight and courage to do your will and compassion and reverence as stewards and companions for the benefit of the entire district, community, and beyond. Help us to know and believe in the gifts you have given our leadership and trustees, both individually and collectively. Inspire us to solve the challenges we may face and to take joy in our shared triumphs. In faith and hope, we trust in your presence and guidance today. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On and on, one day, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, recognition.
Yes, and we have Francis that will be leading us today in recognitions, the best part of the meeting, our student recognitions.
I don't know how I got so lucky, but this is the best part of the meeting, so I'm super excited. Representing our elementary students, I have with us Ariana Zapata from Medio Creek. Ariana Zapata is a shining star at Medio Creek. She excels academically and is a leader on campus. Ariana is often seen as a helper in the classroom and is detail oriented. Her teachers and classmates can depend on her for anything. Her ability to take charge of a group learning project is like no other. She is a natural leader. One of the most amazing things about Ariana is her ability to write. She inspires to be a writer someday and is often seen working on her flip book and jotting ideas down in her journal. She is inventive and her stories have depth and surpasses that of fifth grade students. We have no doubt that her name will be on the shelf of Barnes and Nobles one day. It is a great honor to celebrate Ariana and her Gator greatness. Congratulations to her family, whom we are sure are very proud this evening.
We can have all her family stand up to recognize them also. Stand up also, we're really proud of you.
Thank you. For our middle school representative, we have Sarah Del Rio, 8th grade student, McAuliffe Middle School. McAuliffe Middle School is proud to recognize Sarah Del Rio. Sarah exhibits great character both in the classroom and outside. She is respectful to her teachers and peers, is kind, teachable, and has a drive for success. On top of being an outstanding student in the classroom, Sarah is an active participant in various sports and is the president of the National Junior Honor Society. She is a role model for all students in the class by exhibiting her rocket way. Sarah is a very dedicated student. She is an all-around athlete, a rocket warrior, an all-A student, and she plays the violin in the mariachi. She is always willing to go above and beyond in the classroom and playing on the court. She is always willing to help teachers and students in need. She is kind, respectful, responsible, and trustworthy. We are beyond proud to recognize Sarah. Way to go, model your rocket way.
Family will please stand so we can recognize everyone. Her school family also.
For our high school recognition, we have Gavin Avey, a senior at Southwest High School. Gavin Avey is a student of the month for Southwest High School. Gavin is involved with the student council, chess club, and UIL academics. In addition, he has stepped in this year, taking over the duties of the Dragon mascot. Gavin keeps a full load of dual credit courses and is currently ranked number 4 in his graduating class. Not only is he an outstanding student in the class, but he excels outside of school. He has earned the rank of Eagle Scout. One of his teachers, Mr. Irby, said the following about Gavin. Gavin's inquisitive nature is a spark in the class, and he can always be counted on for him to start really great conversations about all subjects. This is also a student with fantastic character. For his Eagle Scout project this past summer, Gavin made 2 beautiful benches for the chess club. Countless times, Gavin has been the last one out of Mr. Irby's room and help him set up for the next class. Gavin Avey is a student role model here at Southwest High School and deserves this award. Gavin will be attending the University of Houston in the fall and plans to study psychology.
Let's take a group picture. And now we'll face this way so your parents, everybody can take a picture. Congratulations.
And those are all the recognitions that I have today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we heard earlier, this is the most exciting part of the meeting. If your families and you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to leave at this time.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
I have a playoff basketball. No, I gotta go watch Legacy.
I was just gonna ask, is he related to Coach Avey?
Well, I had a lot of family.
We can leave.
Oh, right here. Yep. How are you? Good to see you.
Okay. Continue here. Public comments. Has everyone signed up? Do we know?
No.
Okay. Consent agenda. Board members, you've all had that before you. Is there any one item? Oh, shall we keep- I'll wait a couple seconds. Consent agenda. You've all had that before you. Is there any items you'd like to have pulled for discussion?
I move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Items of information, construction update.
Nothing really for you, sir, just so the board knows that our playground project is pretty much complete. Tomorrow is the last walkthrough at Big Country. So all the playgrounds should be turfed, which I think the kids enjoy. And then in the near future, the future facility subcommittee, then to the board, we have some residual bond funds that are left over from, different projects over time. And so we're gonna talk about some discussions that, some future plans, the things that are in our next bond that we could possibly do with those extra funds. And so, at the next brown bag, I plan to probably bring also, just give you an update on where we are on like our marketing and, not marketing, but our informational presentations on our bond program. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Monthly tax report.
Yes, sir. This time last year, we were at around 77%, and this year we're at 82% in January collection. So we had a really good month on our collections.
Financial report. Reports on gifts and requests. Board members, stop me at any time if you have a question. Enrollment report on page 88. Purchases over 50,000. Calendar of events. Anything that needs to be highlighted? No?
There was a new event that was added to everybody's table. That's kind of recent, so just if everybody could. It's on a little card.
Okay, I see it.
Yes,
The one with the picture
this
on
one,
it?
yes. So if everybody could just add that one.
Who is that guy? Calendar of events, we just went over. Trustee joint election with the City of Lido, video presentation and discussion.
I motion to end discussion on this item.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to end discussion on this item. Is there discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. Item J, TASB Board Policy Update 120, local policies.
Today, we have for you a first read of TASB Board Policy Update 120. And Will Baker will be doing that for us.
President Vasquez, Vice President Sadalka, and board members, Dr. Ball, thank you so much. As I get some technical assistance here. We did just receive the TASB update 120 in your green folder that I placed in front of you. You'll see 3 documents regarding the update 120. I believe so. Just some minor changes that they're asking us to go through and do. Let's see. So we have 5 local policy updates that will eventually need board approval. And this includes, we also have some legal policy updates, and this is our first reading. And I appreciate Brandon's.
Been there, done that.
Most of the local policy recommendations in this update are intended to clarify current policy language, and like I said, it's the first reading. So one is board member elections. They just changed some words here. They went from positions with a more general term seats, and so not a big change to that local policy there. As far as revenue sources, and maybe Brandon needs to help here, but it does require the district to give public notice if we get federal grant applications and provide information to you at board meetings and publishing that information on our website. And it confirms that we will comply with the requirements for getting and receiving public input. And we did that a lot with the ESSER. We held those kinds of meetings. And we did it just earlier today. And then it authorizes the superintendent to approve the plan for use of the grant or award. CKC local, this is our emergency plan. And it talks about that to add to our emergency operations plan, how to respond to a train derailment, and we do have railroads close to us, so we have incorporated this. I talked to Mr. Figueroa yesterday. We've already incorporated this into our plan as of 2020, so we're already doing this local policy.
Do we have drills with the schools that are closest to the railroads?
We have a reunification plan, so if we have to evacuate, and then how we reunify families, so that's what we would do. Depending on if it's a shelter in place or a hold, depending on a lockdown based on, but if it's a chemical spill that's coming, we have a plan in place to relocate and then a reunification plan.
Okay. So the parents already know at these schools where the reunification.
We have
process
we have,
is.
the softwares and the technology we use would let them know, and then we would have a plan on site to reunify the parents with their students.
Okay, and then going on to FG local, this is the student rights and responsibilities and complaint and grievances. There's some minor revisions to this that they changed the way, the language on something, but then they added a procedure for how to complain if you have a dispute under school nutrition programs. And so that's the big addition to that policy. Student discipline, they did revise, or they kind of redid the wording on when a restraint is able to be used in the classroom or on the campus when you have a student, and they just made that language more clear about when you can do that and when you can't. Okay, so those are the recommended policy updates for 120, and we'll come back in March and ask you to approve those changes. Any questions?
Let me just add, I think we missed FFI, Student Welfare Freedom from Bullying. But it is in your booklet, so it's just basically making sure that we address any incidents with a minimum standard that's required. TEA just came up with new bullying policies to make sure we're up to date on our new bullying policies.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Update on Southwest Legacy High School Hawaii trip. I haven't got mine.
Alita will be sharing some of that information. Kids
So
are
we came
pretty
to the
excited.
board back in July of 2022. And so the board was approved the trip in preparation for our Hawaii trip. And so Southwest Legacy, they are on track to make this trip, and so they're really looking forward to it. So here you'll see the airplane ready to take off, and we're excited for the students. They're also very excited. They will be arriving in Honolulu, and they would be there for 6 weeks. They will be performing at
6 weeks. 6
6
days.
6 days.
Hey, I want to go on that field trip.
You would have to add a couple of more pennies. So they will be performing outside of Pearl Harbor, and it will be our Legacy Band. So day 4, they will be doing some little snorkeling, looking around the area, and also part of this boat trip. We are expecting for them to return back on day 6 and ready for them to be here on time for graduation for our seniors. So the reason we are also bringing this information is just to inform the board that after speaking with our travel agency last week, we did come up with some information that initially the students were going to be traveling in 3 separate planes. And so after looking at all the details, the district is also going to provide some financial support in order for them to just travel in 1 plane and get there safely as a group, and then also return as a group safely as well. The other conversation was, will they be here in time for graduation? Yes, they will be here in time for graduation. Graduation is June the 2nd, and so we are looking forward to welcoming all the seniors that would be part of also the celebration, which is the graduation. So I don't know if there's any other questions, but I know that the parents, the students are very much looking forward to this trip.
So how much is the district contributing to the trip?
30,000.
30,000? And what about the kids that had some financial difficulties? Did we did we come back around to them?
So we have 30,000 that the district's putting in, and they have fundraised about 38,000. The actual the band, and so they will use, if any student can't meet the financial needs at the end, they're ready with their student activity to help out those students that can't get to them.
So the kids that had dropped off because they thought they weren't going to make their graduation, did we circle back around to them?
Yes, and so we were, after speaking to Ms. Valarin, so she mentioned just different other reasons of why the students did not continue with their commitment. And it was for other various reasons. You know, it could be just physically, they were not able to make the trip, and then just at the same time, after them thinking of the airplane, the travel, some of them just decided not to follow through with their commitment. But as far as financially, you know, we do feel that the district and also the campus they will be able to sustain also and support.
So that was sufficient enough to, for them not to be in a bind, right?
Yes, and they've had 10 different payouts of $250, and they've also had some fundraising that has been happening since July. And so up until right now, just from the conversations, Brandon, Mr. Flores, just the team, we feel that with the budget that they have and also with what the district is contributing, that they will be not in the bind, that they feel.
Did we notify the parents and let them know that the district's going to?
What it came out, the 30,000 we're putting on top of the initial fee is to cover the direct flights.
Yes.
So they changed that, so there's not gonna be this burden's not gonna be passed on to the parents.
Okay.
So for us to get the flights that they need to have them just fly there and have their equipment with them and get everybody on the same plane and back, that's what the additional cost was for us. So
Oh, I
instead of
see.
saying, hey, parents, you need to pitch in another $350, we're gonna cover that piece, that late change, because that happened late last week.
Okay.
And then on that side, the student activity account, the extra funds they've been raising, that's not necessarily the students paying, they have about $38,000
It's
sitting
enough.
in their account. Yeah, speaking with them and looking at their financials, they have enough. If a student at the end says, hey, I'm not gonna make my last payment, they have enough funds to cover
Yeah,
all that.
they can help.
Yes, they can help. We have plenty of funds to, and at the end of the day, the district, we'll figure it out. 'Cause especially the ones that are committed to this point, we're not gonna let anybody stay behind because they can't make the last payment or so.
Okay.
And I know that she talked about the graduation. Some of the seniors that decided not to go, they're just missing all the other stuff the seniors do that we.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
before.
Not-
Okay.
Yeah, that was
They're gonna be
really
for
close
graduation,
to
but they're not gonna be here for all this,
everything else.
the trip, the senior day and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item 7 will come back in item 11. Item 8, Administrative and Human Resources, consider approval of a stipend for interim campus administrators.
So this is a stipend that we're going to request be placed in the pay scale. Basically, at this time of the year and other times of the year, we have administrators who get promoted, who move on, or who leave education, retire. And we want to make sure that we have a stipend available so that we do not have to displace a teacher teaching a core subject area in the middle of the year to find a replacement for that person. So what we would do is we would make an interim personnel move on that campus. And this way, the campus is able to pick at the end of the year through a whole catalog of people instead of who's just available in January or in March or whenever it's available. We want to make sure that we leave teachers in classrooms in the year for their students. And we want to make sure that the campus has the ability to utilize and grow the capacity of leaders that are already there by giving them a minimal stipend to make sure that we cover all the extra duties that they'll be doing to help whatever administrator is left on campus.
And did I read it right? It's a prorated stipend depending on the month or?
And how long, their experience and what position it is, from elementary, middle school, it's all different. I can't put a number because it gets paid in a different amount, but whatever position they currently have to the position they have, we have a formula to put that together to ensure that it meets the needs of having to take on the burden of those extra duties while they're still doing their current assignment.
Does that also allow the principal to choose, or someone, it will be chosen for them?
This
because-
actually gives them the most opportunity to select, because what happens in the middle of the year, some people cannot get out of contracts, and then we really displace teachers that may be teaching 175 kids, 150 kids, and that's hard to find teachers in the middle of the year. This way, you promote somebody from within in an interim status, and at the end of the year, when everybody's ready and it doesn't affect academic success, we go ahead and let them go through selection and pick from everybody who's available at the end of the year.
Doesn't even notify your managers, basically.
Correct.
And this is gonna go like for principal, vice principal, if there's someone was gonna step into a role of a vice principal. So would that, the stipend's gonna cover down for that kind of role when this, say if they were,
Academic coach.
like academic
Yes.
coach, and then they're moving into assistant principal.
And we actually had this approved by the board a couple years back. As you know, we had an AP who went out on leave due to cancer. And we did this, we piloted this actual program. It was very successful. And the academic coach that took on the responsibility ended up getting promoted the year later. And so this is a really good way to build a capacity, see if people really want to be in administration before they leave the classroom setting or instructional setting. But it helps keep the school flowing because that person already knows the families, the students, and what happens on campus without having to bring in an external person to try to catch up of what's going on in a school.
Yes, this is for an AP position.
And does the stipend, I wanna say, does the stipend really hit home with the person that's getting, like, I don't want them to be underutilized or underpaid because they're taking over the responsibility, so the stipend is equal to the vice principal's pay if they're stepping into a vice principal's pay.
It's not gonna be exact because it doesn't, it's gonna be, because a lot of our way we pay people is on years of experience, so their teacher salary, I mean, depending on how much they're already getting paid with the stipend on top, but it's not to make them take a full load of being the AP, but take on some extra responsibilities. That's what the stipend's about.
So does this mean that no positions will be hired mid-year for those types of situations?
Not necessarily, it really will, so we always put the applicant pool out and see what we have. We have great applicants from outside the district that come in. We have a lot of people here, sitting here, that came from outside the district that bring a lot to our district. What we don't want to do is hinder our district by removing people in instructional settings when we can do this instead.
And of course, it's optional. I mean, nobody's forced to
Correct.
do it, so,
This time I'll entertain a motion.
I move.
Second.
For motion second, the board approve the additional stipend for entering campus administrators as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
And now we have 2 calendar items that we're going to bring to your attention, and I'm going to ask Mr. Will Baker to come back up and present those for you.
Then it's on the same.
Did they already choose?
They voted, and they'll talk about that, so this is the one that they voted for. The very first one, if my memory is correct, is, there was a recent change with June 19th now being a federal holiday, so we want to be able to celebrate that and to honor that it's now a federal holiday, so that is what the first one is about, right, Mr. Baker?
Dr. Ball?
Yes?
You are channeling Lloyd Burstiff there. I don't need to say anything more. Yes, we want to celebrate Juneteenth. Many, as you know, it became a federal holiday in 2021. So last year it was celebrated on the weekend. This year it's going to be on Monday. A lot of area districts and other governmental entities are going to give their employees the day off that day. So we're recommending adding the holiday for our year-round staff beginning this June, on June 19th. And it just requires your action to amend our current calendar.
If part of the action is it's a paid holiday.
yes.
Okay.
So we would need a motion for
I
that.
move. Second.
Motion is second to add June 19th as a holiday for our district, paid holiday for our district. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have
Wait,
another
we're going
item?
on with the
Yes,
next
please.
item?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you were
Okay.
looking at Dr. Ball, you thought she was gonna.
Yeah, she wants to do the introduction. Yes, sir. So we have put together our usual committee to come up with some district calendar ideas. This was challenging this year because the school year, if we go by the 4th Monday in August, it will start very late. And that presents special challenges to our athletic department, our fine arts department, even our HR department, because so many of the other districts around us are gonna start earlier, charter schools start earlier, and that puts us in a later window for hiring and puts us at a little disadvantage. So we got a lot of feedback. We went to senior staff, got some feedback on put forth about 6 calendar options. We took 4 options to the district improvement team, and one of those options had an earlier start date, and that was the overwhelming favorite in the district improvement team. They took it back, they did a survey for us, they took it back to their campuses, just the overwhelming favorite. So we went back to senior staff, and senior staff said, we'll put out 2 drafts for a vote. So we put out one draft that starts and mirrors our usual pattern of starting the 4th Monday in August, and usually that ends the first week in June. And we took the normal holidays that we take. But then we took this draft 3, which had the earlier start date, and I've included it in your green folder there. And just overwhelming vote amongst all staff. We had 1,100 vote, well, approximately 1,200 votes, and you can see draft 3 won with 874 votes.
Yeah, draft 2 was the same one that was comparing the north side, right?
Yeah, it compares to north side, yeah. Now, north side they told me, I talked with north side, they actually tried to change to an earlier date. They put together a district innovation committee. They just felt that they started that process too late. Next year, they will be starting earlier for the reasons I gave to you.
So it's not the same.
Right, not, the one we're putting forward to you is not the same. So the features of this calendar that we're putting forward to you tonight would start on the 3rd Monday in August. Everyone across the district is going to a teacher workday on election day. The reason for this is safety, because when you bring people to vote in on your campus with the new safety regulations, it would be very difficult to hold school on that day. So that's why everybody across our region is going to a teacher workday on election day. Again, we would have 2 flex days. The winter break, it says December 25th, but actually the last day would be December 22nd. We would get out, the Saturday would be December 23rd. And you do a winter break from December 25th to January 5th. This also, we got feedback from a lot of our campuses because this would probably allow us to finish the fall semester in December. And that helps us a lot with transfers from other districts. They come in having already finished and we're not finished. That creates a headache for us for scheduling and giving credit. So that's the advantage of running so late in December. We like doing the Easter Monday holiday because our families around here usually celebrate that, and we have poor attendance on that day, so we left that in there. And then the last day of instruction would be May 30th. And so we are at this time, based on the feedback that we've gotten from the district, are recommending adoption of that draft 3 calendar in front of you. Any questions?
Do we know when Northside's last day of school is?
They would be the June, that first Friday in June, I think, or first Thursday in June.
The 6th?
Yes.
Okay.
I move. Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve draft 3 of following year's calendar. All in favor? Okay, we do have a
You don't
question.
have half days on this calendar, correct? Okay.
Any other questions?
Are we like eliminating them? We're not doing them anymore?
We don't feel like, given the feedback we got in the DIT, that would be prudent.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Consider approval of TAS report. No, we've already done that, haven't we?
No, sir, we do.
Oh, this is TAS report, 119.
So this one, we're
This one's already.
We're gonna make sure that you're aware that 119, this is going to be a first read and approval for you on this one, because 120 is already out. And so we'll go ahead and cover this and see if you have any questions before we ask for the approval of this.
Okay, so back to the wonderful world of policy. And we do have some things that we need to discuss on this policy update. I appreciate the help I'm getting right now. Uh-oh.
You spoke too soon, sir.
I know. Those documents are in your green folder if you want to look at the 119 proposed changes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So we're probably going to look at 6 local policy updates requiring board policy and 3 new local policies. And then there was a lot of legal policies where they changed wording around. And of course, you just review the legal policies you approve of. So this is a first reading, but we are going to ask if you will consider approval tonight. CPC is records management. We have a records management officer, and congratulations, Ms. Barcelona, on that election to do that. And they are going to ask us to create some local procedures for district management of electronic records, and that's what's been added in. And I'm sure our whole department will have some fun with those procedures. Professional development. So every year we do require professional development for our staff. Things like asthma training, sexual harassment training, things like that. We use something called Vector. It is approved. You'll see in here it mentions this clearinghouse that we have to go through. Vector is approved by the clearinghouse, and we have to make a professional development plan for that. So we do that yearly. They just put it into the policy, and we will come to you in the summer with that explicit plan of what trainings we will be having staff do for the coming year. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay, EHAA is required instruction. This has to do with the SHAC committee and adding some things like child abuse, family violence, and dating violence. So you guys make a resolution for the SHAC committee to go look at these kinds of curriculum every year, and they come and then they come back and have a public meeting and present their recommendations to you. And that's what this policy is about. They're adding some things that the SHAC committee has to consider when they meet. Special programs, we're doing this already, but we do have to, TEA is requiring teachers that teach students with dyslexia are trained in that kind of instruction. And there is a cyclical monitoring visit that comes out from TEA, and for us to get ready for that, we have to have this policy adopted. Same thing, another special education policy here is our early child intervention. When a child comes from early childhood intervention into the school system at 3, we need to make sure that they have an IEP developed, ready to go day 1, and that's what this policy is about. Okay, gifted and talented, the change here is that we don't have to make a report to the state. They took that out during the session, so we're taking that out of the policy. Graduation, part of a graduation committee requirement is for our students to do a FAFSA or a TASFA, and this policy tells us how we can prove that our students have in fact done so. And that's a neat thing. I don't know if you guys know the things we do with the seniors, and we go and meet with the seniors one-on-one, and that's one of the things we always discuss with the seniors. It's really actually it's a great conversation to have with them. It's an interesting day. Trauma-informed care, we do this training already, but they put it in policy that it's a requirement that we do this. This is part of our Vector training, and we all have to do the trauma-informed care. And then some changes in FFH, the student welfare. This is letting parents know if they have a student who's a victim of dating violence or a perpetrator of dating violence. We have to, of course, let the parents know of that situation. Okay, that's what I have. Ms. Parsons, did I get them all this time? You think so? Okay, all right. Any questions?
Board members?
So,
I second.
We have a motion, a second to approve update 119 as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Business and Finance, consider and take action regarding approving the resolution dealing with wage issues for employees involved in the emergency close.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you're aware that on January 31st and February 1st, we had the potential of a pretty bad storm Many of our northern districts closed down, and pretty much all of Bear County shut down those days. DE local policy, same as last year, got a resolution from council to deal with our wages. We are not gonna make up those days academically because we have enough minutes, but we also feel like it's for district employees, we close down, and it's just a public purpose to make sure that our employees are paid. And so I'm asking the board, I'm recommending the board to approve the resolution, so we can continue forward paying those, the employees in those days that we close down.
I move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, board members? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Consider approval of RFP 2022-2023-102 for E-rate 26 network hardware.
Yes, sir, I got Jeff Powell here with me, he's gonna present this RFP that we sent out, we're here to award.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, we've been coming pretty much annually with E-rate projects. This year, we're trying to finish up some work we've been doing over the last several years, which is to upgrade the routers and switches, the network equipment at our campuses. And so the last piece of that is to upgrade what's left for our elementary schools. And so this round, we will end up touching every elementary school. We sent it out to all, through the E-rate process, touch all of our vendors. We've got 3 respondents, and the lowest bid was fortunately a partner that we've been using for a lot of years now, Computer Solutions. They always do a really good job for us, so we were happy to see that. The total cost is $627,958.10. And if funded, we would be eligible for 85% reimbursement for the project. So we're coming to ask that you approve Computer Solutions as awarded vendor for this RFP.
I move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second that the board approve Computer Solutions as the awarded vendor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Consider approval of Chromebook purchase for campuses.
So Chromebooks are a primary learning device for first graders all the way through our seniors. They're an affordable device, which makes it really great for the district. Now, the problem I have with them is when they're sold, they have a life expectancy. They don't want you to use them forever. They want to cut them off so that you have to buy them. When they reach that point, they won't update anymore. You can't get security updates. They can no longer do online testing. So with the support of the board, the district, over the years, we've been able to keep replenishing devices to stay at least a 1-to-1 ratio for devices for our students. And so this year, what we're trying to do is we've got 1,000 devices that are going to expire this summer, so we'd like to purchase 1,000 to replace those. In addition, we'd like to buy another 2,000 just to give our campuses a shot in the arm. Some of these, they do fail over time, even though we try to fix them, they die hard. And plus, we're thankfully seeing some increased enrollment this year, and so we'd like to give, make sure our campuses are ready for the next school year.
I move.
He's not finished yet.
No, I thought you were saying.
No, anyways, we, and for you've got the numbers in front of you, but in this case, we didn't think the lowest bid was the best choice for us. 3 of our vendors, they gave us devices that would last only 5 years. CDW is gonna give us devices that will last 9 years. I don't know if they'll make it that long, but if we can go even 1 year longer than the others, it would be a great value. It's only about $12 per device. So we'd be paying for with SG3 funds, and we're asking that you approve CDW as the awarded vendor for this purchase.
I move.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, that we approve CDWG as the awarded vendor for purchasing 3,000 Chromebooks for campuses. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Consider approval thank you. Consider approval of ESER 2 and ESER 3 plans and amendments.
Yes, sir, I was recommending that the board approve what was presented tonight in the public hearing for ESER 2 and ESER 3 with amending those changes.
I move.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Brandon. Dr. Ball, this is where you get your one more thing.
My one more thing is just, want to thank the staff for making I'm on day 7, and everybody has been amazing. A great team. Not only the welcoming part has been amazing, the knowledge of the staff, the work ethic. So just my one thing is thank y'all. Y'all do an amazing job. Thank you.
Can you, I meant to do it while Roxy was still here, but she got an award today. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So HEB has always been huge on recognizing educators. So she was nominated for the award for principalship. So they do different categories, and she is one of 6 that was nominated, and there will be a big celebration in May. That we are very proud that she will be representing our district. I know she will do a great job, and it was very touching today also for the part that her father recently passed away. Her father was also up for the award in the business area.
Wow.
But he passed before, so she is really doing this in his honor. So we're wishing her lots of luck, and she's amazing. We're blessed to have her. So it was a great event. It was a surprise because they thought that they were recognizing me, and when we get to the campus, we're really recognizing her. So it was awesome. It was
That's
really
great.
good.
Thank you, Dr. Ball.
Okay. As permitted by 551.001, 551.146 of Texas Government Code, we'll go into closed session at 6:47. This meeting comes back to order at 7:14. Item 7, Superintendent.
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
I
I second, oh,
Have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item B, consider and take possible action to assign Dr. Verstuff as Superintendent Emeritus.
emeritus,
Emeritus.
emeritus.
What I write?
I make a motion that we assign Dr. Lloyd Werstuff as superintendent emeritus.
Second.
I second that.
Oh, Peter already said.
Oh,
He's fast.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Motion passes, and at 7:14, this meeting is adjourned.